In this video, I'm gonna show you the fastest and simplest path to grow a coaching business to a consistent $1 million per year in annual profit. Like, that's the real common club. Not just $1 million in revenue, but actual $1 million in profit that you actually take home. And I'm gonna show you how to turn that profit into long-term wealth that funds your lifestyle, even if you decide to shut down your coaching business. Because the goal isn't to just do top-line revenue or do screenshots that you can just show off for the gram. The goal is to build a business that continues to generate profit, that stays, grows, and works for you, whether you're working or not. And it's something I had to learn the hard way, is that making money and building wealth is two completely different things. And once I figured this out, the game totally changed. Now, to do this, I need to cover two things. First, I'm gonna walk you through what I call the 5 stages of scale. This is the exact path every coaching business takes from startup all the way to succession. I'm gonna show you where the most established coaches get stuck, why they stay stuck, and the one shift that changes everything. Second, I'm gonna walk you through the strategic scale plan, the 6-system framework that installs peace, predictability, and profit inside your coaching business so it can run and grow without you being the engine of everything. What I'm about to share with you is not about working harder. You've already proven you can work hard. This is about installing the right systems so the business you've already built actually start working without you. Now, let me say this. Yes, I'm gonna walk you through the path of building a coaching business to $1 million a year in annual profit. But here's the thing, nothing I'm about to share with you is a claim or a guarantee of revenue or earnings or anything. It's for education purposes only. My results and my clients' results are not typical. So if you think you're gonna watch this video and you think this is a guarantee or any of that, this isn't that. And if you want a guarantee, you're looking for a guarantee, don't ever buy any of our stuff, because our stuff works if you work it. And most people who buy coaching programs or courses or any of that type of stuff don't get any type of results. So I don't want this video to come off as a claim or a guarantee or any of those type of things. I'll be sharing some results for myself and for our clients, but none of that's to say because they did it, you can do it as well, because that's not the case. So I just wanted to get that disclaimer up front and personal, because again, I don't know you, I don't know your business. And again, most people don't get any results. That's just what it is. There's a very small percent of coaching businesses or businesses in general that get to $100,000 per month in profit. And there's a lot of things that goes into it to make it happen. So again, I just wanted to get this out front and center that there's no guarantees of income or earnings just from watching this video. All right, now, just in case you don't know who I am, I'm Marquel Russell. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Strategic Scale Institute and the creator of Strategic Scale Advisory Board. And over the past 15 plus years, we've been helping coaches and consultants break through the revenue ceiling that's been keeping them stuck. Not by working harder, but by installing systems that make the business run and grow without them. I've helped coaches like Dr. Carwana D. Irvin. She actually came to us, she was making $30,000 to $40,000 a month. She's working 7 days a week, working really, really hard. We actually help her put these systems in place. A lot of what I'm about to cover in this video, they help her go to $300,000 to $400,000 a month while only working 3 days a week. I felt my guy Abdul Shabazz get back 52 hours per month into his life. He was being buried in fulfillment with his clients, and his wife was actually telling him, Abdul, we're getting the tired version of you every day. And his daughter was coming in wanting to play doctor with him, but he had to keep telling her daddy's working right now because he was knee deep into work. And he had what most people would call a successful business. He was having to sacrifice going to the gym and training for MMA. After we got him back 15 hours per week in his life, now he's able to be more present with his family, able to hit the gym and do other things he wants while his business actually continues to run and grow. He got back 52 hours into his life while his income continued to grow. I always tell our clients, as your free time multiplies, so does your income. Now, I know that may sound crazy, but it'll make a whole lot more sense here in a few. And the beautiful thing is we helped Abdul get those 52 hours per month back in phase 1 of our process alone. We've helped coaches from every level, from $20,000 a month, well past 7 figures, make the shift from business that consumes them to a business that serves them. And that's what we're going to create a roadmap for today. So let's get to it. So I want to show you something, because when you see this map, you're going to recognize exactly where you are right now. And most importantly, you're going to understand for the first time why you haven't been able to get past it. Every coaching business follows the same path, and we've gone through this process with thousands of coaching businesses. 5 stages. Each one has its own energy, its own revenue range, its own way of working, and its own constraints. So let me walk you through all 5. All right, so stage 1 is startup. So right here, you're in hustler mode. 0 revenue, 0 proof, pure hustle. You kept going until you got your first clients, proved the process, and started climbing. Most people never get past this process. You did. Now, stage 2 is survival. Stage 1 is hustling, stage 2 is grinding. So you got traction, $5,000, $10,000 a month start happening. You start investing in yourself with like courses, coaching, masterminds. You're in the stage of heavy learning, absorbing knowledge from every direction possible. And it paid off. You kept climbing, which leads us to stabilization. So we went to startup, we went to survival, now we're in stabilization. So we got here to stabilization, and this is where I need to slow down, because this is where most established coaches are living right now. So you're making real money, $20,000, $30,000, even $50,000 a month in revenue. I actually got here to this $50,000 per month mark and stayed here for 3 years. And most people were like, well, aren't you grateful for being at $50,000 a month? And I was. However, I knew there was another level for me, and I knew it was something I was missing. And I was stuck in stabilization. So at this point, this is an interesting phase, because from the outside, you made it. Clients, a brand, maybe even a small team. But on the inside, you're actually exhausted. And this is where we can find ourselves on the entrepreneurial hamster wheel. This is where everything runs through you. The marketing, you. The sales, you. The fulfillment, you. Every client question, every team problem, every tech crisis, you. You are the business. And no matter how hard you push, you keep hitting the ceiling because there are only so many hours in the day and there's only so much of you to go around. You started this for freedom, but somewhere along the way, freedom became the thing that you'll get to eventually. After this launch, after you hire one more person, after you hit the next revenue number. But eventually never comes, and here's why. In these first 3 phases, your business is what I call me driven. And this whole concept came from, I was sitting down with a client named Danielle Adams. She's the CEO of a operations agency and consulting firm. And we were sitting down and we was going through the whole process and seeing why she was stuck at $300,000 a year. And we mapped out our whole fulfillment process with her agency. And I pointed out everywhere she showed up in this process. And this is why she was drained and burnt out. And I showed her, I was like, your business is me driven. Something needs to be done. I'll do it. Oh, you want to get that fixed? Give it to me. So everything is me driven and the business can't grow beyond you. And this is prominent in these first 3 phases. Even when you're doing $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. I often tell coaches, the biggest thing that keeps most coaches from $1 million a year is $500,000. Sometimes you can get complacent, or sometimes you can just be overextended capacity-wise. So I want you to look at these first 3 stages. Startup, survival, stabilization. Notice what they all have in common. Everything runs through the founder. Your knowledge, your relationships, your instincts, your mind power, your energy. The business only works because you show up. Even if you have a small team, you're probably just a genius with 1,000 helpers. They're all waiting for you to tell them what the next steps and what they should be doing. And it's exhausting. If you went on vacation for a month, really unplug, no emails, no DMs, no Slack, no WhatsApp, no calls, no content creation, how much of your business will be still running when you got back? For most coaches, the answer is not much. And just the idea of being away from 30 days actually create some level of anxiety for them. And that's because everything is me driven. The knowledge, the systems, the delivery all lives in your head. It's all tribal knowledge. And when it's tribal knowledge, you can't duplicate it and you can't multiply it. And scale is all about duplication and multiplication. Not about more, not about bigger, not about faster. It's about duplication and multiplication. And when everything is stuck in your head, you can't hand it off. And you absolutely can't scale. And just getting more sales is not scale, and it's not the solution. So in this stage, you just push harder. You invest in more strategies, more courses, more programs. And something frustrating happens. You already know what they're teaching. You go to these events and you think, I've heard all this before, so why am I still stuck? And here's why. You don't have a knowledge problem, you have a systems problem. Now, here's where the shift happens. The move from stabilization to scale. When you move from stabilization to scale, this is where you go from stuck to flowing. And it requires one fundamental shift. You go from me driven to IP driven. IP driven means you've taken everything that lives in your head and you've turned it into assets. Documented frameworks, codified processes, and systemized delivery. This is where your intellectual property becomes the engine of the business, not your personal presence. When your business is IP driven, it can be duplicated, it can be taught, it can be multiplied, it can be scaled, it can be delivered without you being in every room, on every call, in every session. Now, you're not trying to clone yourself. You're building systems that multiply your impact without multiplying your hours. At the scale level, it's all about 3 things: multiplication, duplication, and leverage. That's IP driven. And that's what we have here, where it's IP driven. So again, once we get to scale, this is where the shift happens. Your marketing works without you grinding. Enrollment happens without you being on the phone all day. Delivery happens and your clients get amazing results without you being in every session. You have time, margin, and options. $1 million in profit stops being a dream and becomes a simple math equation because the systems are doing all the heavy lifting. Now, let's talk about the 5th stage. This is what I call succession. This is the goal. This is where your business exists without your daily presence. You coach because you love it, not because you have to. Your wealth is compounded. You've built something that creates value way beyond your personal time and energy. You can pass it on to your family, you can sell it, or you can keep running it from wherever you want. The question isn't if you're talented enough or if you work hard enough to get there. You're already proving you're talented. You're already proving that you got the work ethic. The question is, what has to change in how this business is built so it can grow without you being the ceiling? And that's what I'm gonna show you right now. Now, before I show you the system, I wanna show you the 3 things you actually want out of this business. And not the revenue number, the actual life outcomes. The first is peace. This is the ability to show up fully in your business and fully in your life without one consistently bleeding into the other. This is where you can lead from a place of calm and clarity instead of constant reaction. The second is predictability. This is about knowing what next month looks like. A business that generates consistent high quality leads, consistent enrollments, consistent revenue, and consistent profit. And not because you manually created all of it, but because the systems are running. But because the systems are running and doing the heavy lifting for you. And the third is profit. Again, not revenue, actual money you keep. A business that generates real profit and a clear plan for turning that profit into lasting wealth so your coaching business is funding your future, not just your current lifestyle. So peace, predictability, and profit. This all leads us to what I call true freedom. Not just financial freedom, but freedom in all aspects. That's the destination. Now let me show you what gets in the way. Burnout, chaos, and cash flow, or the lack thereof. If any of these is true for you right now, what I'm about to share is exactly what you need. So let's recap where we are so far. So we know peace, predictability, and profit is what the business is supposed to give you. And if you're being honest, at least one of these is missing right now. And we know with these three things, this is going to lead us to the center, which is true freedom. And now let's expound on these three things that are hindering you and holding you back. So first and foremost, we talked about burnout. Now, burnout is what robs you of your peace. This is where you can't turn your brain off and you get in very little sleep. And when you do get a little sleep, you can't rest. So you wake up still exhausted. You're carrying everything everywhere all the time. And a lot of the gurus even make you feel guilty about trying to get a little rest. You know, sleep when you're dead. You're supposed to be hustling and grinding 24/7. If you ain't up early, you don't want it bad enough. Take a vacation, oh, that's for suckers. Yeah, we hear a lot of that, right? So when you're with your family, your mind is on your business. And when you're working, you feel guilty about not being with your family. You started this for freedom. But what you built is a very well-paying job that follows you everywhere. Now, chaos is what robs you of your predictability. You never really know what next month looks like. Some months are incredible. Some months you're scrambling. The pipeline lives in your relationships, your launches, your content, all of which requires you to be on, present, locked in, and producing. Again, you are the business. The moment you step back, the revenue follows you down. Now, cash flow, or the lack thereof, robs you of your profit. You might be making good revenue on paper, but after payroll, after ads, after software subscriptions, and after taxes, what are you actually keeping? Most coaches are generating revenue without a real system for turning that revenue into profit and that profit into wealth. Most don't even pay themselves a salary. They just pay themselves based on how the business did this month. Now, let me show you what we're building. These are the three freedom outcomes that flip each one of these problems. So first we got founder freedom, CEO clarity, and wealth by design. Burnout gets solved by founder freedom. That's time freedom. A business that runs itself in a week designed around your energy and your life, not around putting out fires and everyone else's needs. Chaos gets solved by CEO clarity. That's mental freedom. This is knowing exactly where you're going, why you're going there, to make decisions with certainty instead of feeling. And then cash flow gets solved by wealth by design. That's financial freedom. Not just revenue coming in, but a real plan for where it goes, how it grows, and how it turns into lasting long-term wealth on autopilot. Now here's exactly how we get to all of these outcomes. 6 systems, 2 per pillar. Let's go through each one of these, and as we do, I want you to score yourself. Here's how it's going to look. 5 equals great, 3 equals okay, and 1 equals need some work. Maybe even a lot of work. So the first system is what I call the perfect week protocol. Most coaches are reactive. The week is built around client calls, team fires, content deadlines, and whatever shows up in their inbox. They never design it, it just happens to them. The perfect week protocol is about designing your week intentionally around your energy, your family, your faith, your creative output, and your rest. And it's not about just squeezing productivity out of every hour. This is where we map out exactly what your ideal week looks like, protect the things that matter most, and then we build the business schedule around that life, not the other way around. I want to give you a personal example of what that actually looks like because I think it'll make this real for you. In the book of Genesis, when God created the heavens and earth, he didn't even try to do everything in one day. And this is God we're talking about. So God had a specific outcome, right? And this is where he started. Day 1 had a purpose. Day 2 had a purpose. Day 3 had a purpose. Each day was very intentional, and each day built on the next one. Each day built the foundation of what came next. And what's fascinating is that each day was strategically preparing the ground for the next day. Nothing random, nothing reactive. And on the 7th day, he rested. This was all strategic. And the Bible also said that God actually looked back and he saw that everything he created was good. So God even did a review. I model my entire week the same way. I call it God mode productivity. So here's what it looked like. So if we were to call this let's just call this a week, right? We'll call this Monday. We'll call this Tuesday. We'll call this Wednesday. We'll call this Thursday. We'll call this Friday. So we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we'll call this one Sunday, right? So Monday is what I call Maestro Monday. This is straight CEO mode only. This is high-level strategy, key meetings, nothing tactical. I mean, to be frank, CEOing is cool, but it's not my favorite thing to do. So that's why I get it out on Monday, but I know it's important to do. At least until I get to the point if I decide to hire a CEO. But at this point, I'm doing it. Now, Tuesday, it's Transformation Tuesday. This is coaching day. During the business hours, I'm totally present with clients. Nothing else exists in those moments. Wednesday is what I call Wellness Wednesday. Now I protect this one super hard. This is why I do a weekly sync with my wife. This is the most important meeting on my weekly calendar, hands down. Because my relationship with my wife is the most important relationship that I have on this side of heaven. So I gotta be locked in and we gotta stay aligned. So I'm doing a weekly sync / date with my wife. Self-care. This could be a massage. This could be a float. This could be going to get my hair cut, just depending on what's going on. This is light ideation for the next day, which I'll get to in a second. Thursdays is like content day. So on Wednesdays, I'm doing ideation. So I don't do creation and ideation in the same day. And I do what I call my Wednesday protocol. I got this from my business partner, Dre. This is a halftime review of my week so far. So just like a sports team goes into the locker room at halftime and they may adjust the game plan, or they may find that, no, we're good. Let's just keep running the same place. And then they come out stronger in the second half. That's Wednesday, and that's what happens in this Wednesday protocol. Now, Thursday, it's Thought Leader Thursday. This is content creation only. I'm in the lab shooting content like this, or we're shooting our show for our strategic scale show, or ideally I have my team schedule all podcast interviews where people bring me on their show. We schedule these on Thursdays, ideally. Friday is Forecast Friday. This is where I reflect on the week, project forward, and I set up the following week intentionally. And then Saturday is Self-Care Saturday. No work unless I'm speaking at an event or hosting an event, which honestly still fills me up, so that counts as self-care too. And then Sunday is my Sabbath. Full rest, non-negotiable. Now, and there's very few exceptions to any of this. When you stop trying to do everything every day and you give each day a single purpose that builds into the next, your energy multiplies, your output increases, and you actually have a life outside the business. And that's what the Perfect Week Protocol builds for you. When Carwana went through a process like this, the cool thing is it doesn't have to be designed just like this, but it does have to be designed. When we did this, it actually helped Carwana go from 7 days a week, stuck at $30,000 to $40,000 a month, to only 3 days a week, doing $300,000 to $400,000 a month. I shared this with my guy, Wes Fisher, and before he came to us, he had already built a $1 million business, but he said he was exhausted and he shut the whole thing down. We helped him scale his coaching business $3 million over 3 years, and he was only coaching 1 day a week. We had a conversation one day, and one of the things we track with clients is free days. He was designing his Perfect Week Protocol. I said, what are you going to do on these free days? And he looked at me like, what are free days? And I'm like, these are the days you don't work. He was like, what do you mean don't work? And I was like, these are the days where you do other things that you enjoy doing other than work. And he was like, well, I enjoy working. Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we have an addiction to work and we justify it, right? So I said, what are some other things that you like to do? So we dug into it. He was like, well, I don't know. And I was like, what are some things your wife likes to do? Because like, you married, right? He was like, yeah. He was like, well, I don't know. And this was a great time for him to really get aligned with that. The following month, he took a 10-day vacation to Dubai. He took his entire family. And now every time I look at his social media profile, he's somewhere in the world. And the beautiful thing is that his multi-million-dollar business still continues to run, whether he's at home or he's somewhere in the country where the Wi-Fi doesn't even work. What I find with all these high-level coaching businesses is that the time was never the constraint, the design was. So here's the question. Is your week actually designed, or is it just happening to you? Are you intentional about your energy, your time, and your life by the day? As a CEO, one of your highest level roles is asset allocation. And your time is an asset. So you want to say, okay, how am I best allocating my time? So again, are you intentional or are you reactive? Working straight through the weekends and you're never off. So you find yourself working 12-day weeks. And that's what happens when you go straight through the weekend. So I want you to score yourself right here. So what I find, if they're being honest, most coaches is a 1 right here. Now, the next system is systemize and multiply. Now, once your week is designed, we have to make sure the business doesn't pull you back in. That means taking everything that lives in your head, every process, every piece of delivery, every recurring decision, and turning it into a system that runs without you. Again, your business is a collection of assets, and the more valuable you are to your business, the less valuable your business is. This is where the I-me model gets permanently broken. When your IP is documented, trained, and systemized, you stop being the bottleneck. Your team can deliver, your clients get consistent results, and you get your time back for good. Abdul Shabazz recovered 52 hours a month in the first phase alone through this process. 52 hours. I mean, you can multiply and do the math on that. That's not a rounding error. That's a part-time job of your life returned to you. So here's the question. If you disappeared for 30 days, what would still be running? Could your team deliver without you? Could your clients get results without you being present in every session? Or does everything stop the moment you step back? I want you to put a 5, 3, or 1. Most coaching business at this level, the answer is a 1. But whatever the number is for you, fill in that number. Now, let's move to the CEO clarity side. And let's talk about the North Star. This is the next system that we're going to require for strategic scale. Most coaches don't have a vague goal problem. They have a vague identity problem. They know the number they want to hit, but they haven't made the identity shift to become the person who consistently operates at that level. So clarifying your North Star means getting clear on your purpose, your mission, your values, your principles, your destination, and why we're going there. And I'm talking about why we're going there at a level that goes much deeper than a revenue goal. Because here's the thing, your team isn't coming to help you hit your revenue goals, but they will come because of a bigger mission, a bigger vision, and they're willing to operate on specific values and principles. And they'll see themselves becoming a part of this mission, and they're willing to do meaningful work to actually help you accomplish this vision and mission, because if it's big enough, they can actually see their vision becoming accomplished inside of your vision. And when your vision is linked to your identity and is much bigger than just making money, it stops being a goal or arbitrary financial number you're chasing, and it becomes who you are, and that creates the culture within your company. And that's when the roller coaster ends, and you build something that's truly meaningful that other individuals buy completely into because they see ownership and they see where we're going together. We take every client through this and onboard and part of our strategic scale operating system. This is the motivational fluff. It's the foundation that every other system builds on. Vague targets create vague results. Now, here's the question. Do you have a crystal clear vision of exactly where you're going and why it matters beyond the revenue number? It hasn't been written down. One of my favorite scriptures is write the vision and make it plain. Does your team know the vision and the mission? And can they articulate it clearly if I ask them? And does it pull you forward on the hard days? And does it pull them forward on the hard days? Or is it vague, shifting, and more of a feeling than a fixed point? Write it down. Score yourself 5, 3, or 1. Most coaching businesses I'll speak to, they'll be typically a 1, to be honest with you. I'll be a little friendly and put a 3 here. But I want to put what's honest for you. Now, the next system is rewire for scale. Rewire for scale. So one of my billionaire mentors, he said the most important skill that he's had to develop over his years of building multiple billion-dollar companies, $5 billion companies, was rearranging his brain for success. Outside of marketing, outside of sales, outside of leadership, is rearranging his brain for success. And to be honest with you, your brain is naturally wired for anti-scale because it's designed to keep you comfortable. So this is why we have to rewire for scale. So even with a North Star, the inner work isn't done. Because between where you are and where you're going, there's fears, doubts, and identity gaps quietly running in the background, capping your pricing, your visibility, your confidence in sales conversations, your willingness to delegate, and your ability to lead effectively. Rewire for scale is about doing that work systematically. This isn't therapy, which I highly recommend all entrepreneurs have a therapist. This isn't about journaling or affirmations, which those things are great. This is a structured process that takes an inventory of what's holding you back and transforms each one of them. Fear becomes confidence, doubt becomes certainty, and overwhelm becomes clarity. As Warren Buffett said, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. The inability to manage your emotions in business is very expensive. This system makes sure yours is working for you, not against you. So here's the question. Are there fears, doubts, or beliefs quietly running in the background that are capping what you charge, how visible you are, how you delegate, or how fast you move? Or have you done the real work and nothing inside you is holding you back from the level you're reaching for? So score yourself 5, 3, or 1. Many coaches I speak to at this level, they've done some level of work, so I'll just put a 3 here. But I want you to put what's true for you. Because many haven't done this work. They just grind through and they don't even realize they actually started their business as a trauma response. And even though they've made tons of money, they're still operating in survival. And your business will never outgrow your identity. And if it does, it'll be short-lived. Now, let's move down here to Wealth by Design and we'll wrap up. So the system we're going to have down here is your strategic command center. Most coaches make decisions based on how they're feeling that day, what a speaker said at the mastermind, or what they saw on Instagram. And that's the most expensive way to run a business. The strategic scale command center is your data dashboard. It's your business GPS. It tracks the metrics that actually matter: lead flow, conversion rates, profit margins, cash runway, and client retention. When you can see the numbers clearly and you understand the numbers, you make faster, more accurate decisions. You stop reacting and you start steering. So kind of like when you step onto an airplane and you look into the cockpit and the pilot has all these different things where they make decisions based on this dashboard. This is you as a business pilot where you can make these specific decisions. This is why in our Freedom Code, we use the analogy of a flight because it's totally relevant, which I don't have time to go into in this video. This is how we run the Strategic Scale Advisory Board. Every member has a command center. Every strategic conversation starts with data. That's what separates the coaches who scale from the ones that stall. Now, here's the question. Do you know your numbers? Not just revenue, profit margins, conversion rates, lead flow, earnings per lead, and cash runway. And do you make decisions based on the data or based on how you're feeling that day or what you saw on Instagram? Rate yourself 5, 3, or 1. Most coaches I speak to at this level, at some level they're tracking, but in many cases they're not. So I'm gonna put a 1 right here. Because a lot of times it's just based on vibes and how they feel. And the last system is engineer your wealth. This last system is the one almost nobody in the coaching industry talks about. We're obsessed with revenue and almost completely silent on what happens to the money after it comes in. Engineer your wealth means building a financial architecture that turns your coaching revenue into lasting generational wealth, and it creates current and future income. So you know your numbers, you have a clear profit plan, you have automated allocations, tax, investments, personal wealth, so that every dollar that comes in is actually working towards your financial freedom. It's engineered once, it's running on autopilot, and it requires very little management month to month. Money flows to organized places and it grows in organized places. When this system is in place, your wealth grows every single month as a mathematical certainty. Now here's the question. Is your wealth growing every single month on autopilot? Have you automated your most important money decisions so emotion is out of it and the math just runs it? Or have you been avoiding that conversation? Put a 5, a 3, or a 1. Most coaches are a 1 here. And it's not because they don't make good money. It's because nobody taught them what to do with it. This is the operating system that we install in every client's business. Every one of these systems has a tool, a framework, and a process built for it inside the advisory board. Now, let me show you what this looks like when it all comes together. When you've designed your perfect week and systemized your IP, you freed up your time. You're no longer the bottleneck. The business runs whether you show up or not. You show up to your family present, you show up to your work refreshed, and you stop carrying everything everywhere you go. When you've clarified your North Star and you rewire for scale, you have mental freedom. You know exactly where you're going and why. You're not pain motivated anymore, and you're not in survival mode. You're pulled forward by the clear vision. And when the mental blocks do show up, because they will, you know how to navigate them quickly and get back on track. And when you have your strategic scale command center and you've engineered your wealth, you know your numbers, you know what you're on pace for, you know how fast you're going, and your wealth is growing every single month like clockwork. Your cash flow problems start to disappear because it was never a revenue problem. It was an architecture problem. At that point, you have the peace, you have the predictability, and you have the profit, which all leads to the true freedom. And on your little map here, you've gone from I-me driven to IP driven, and from stabilization to scale and then succession. And that's what we're building. So add these up now. 6 scores, each out of 5, total of 30. Go ahead and grab your calculator if you need it. I'll wait for you. So let's use mine for example. So as you see right here, we had a 1 at the Perfect Week Protocol. We had a 1 at the Systemize and Multiply. We had a 3 at the North Star. We had a 3 at the Rewire for Scale. We had a 1 at the Strategic Scale Command Center. And we have a 1 for Engineer Your Wealth. But I want you to do your math. So if we add mines up, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we have 10 out of 30. Which is 33%. So we got quite a bit of work to do, right? A lot of coaches come to me feeling like they have more in the tank, like they know more than they're executing. And I found this to be one of the most accurate diagnostics for where the real gaps are and exactly how much runway you have left. So what's your score? Now, here's what I want you to do with it. Based on what you scored, what are your big 3? There's 3 systems that if you install them in the next 30, 60, or 90 days, will move the needle most for you specifically. Maybe it's the Perfect Week Protocol, maybe it's the Strategic Scale Command Center, and Engineer Your Wealth. Maybe it's something different. Whatever it is, you've just identified your real constraint. And behind each of these systems is a set of tools, frameworks, and playbooks that we install directly into your business. If you've made it this far, that tells me something about you. You serious about this? If you want to find out what it looks like to install all of this inside of your specific business, go to Instagram right now and find me, Marquel Russell, MarquelRussell, and DM me the word freedom. I got an automation set up that'll send you all the details about the Strategic Scale Advisory Board where we help you install all these systems into your business. And my whole goal inside the advisory board is to help coaches get to $1 million a year in take-home profit that they can use to build real wealth. So this automation is going to send you over all the details. What's included, how it works, no setters, no closers, no sales call required. You will see everything. And if it's a fit for you, you'll know it, and you'll know exactly what to do next. So DM me freedom on Instagram, and I'll see you in the inbox.